This has Raptors fans absolutely buzzing, as not only did we just come off an electric performance out there in Summer League where energy was through the roof, the excitement was on another level, we heard some very interesting quotes from Raptors young guys that frankly indicate that this team is going to have a lot of players that take major steps up in terms of internal development. So we're going to break down what these quotes are, what we are now looking for out there over the course of the summer league and then heading into training camp and preseason, and why Raptors fans are buzzing beyond just that emphatic statement made in game 1 of summer league. So lots of stuff to break down in this video, but folks, I want to remind everyone, if you want to listen to Raptors Digest on the go, you can check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. All of our videos get uploaded to those platforms as well. So make sure, if you guys want to tune into all of the daily Toronto Raptors content, don't want to miss a single thing, and you're not on YouTube, you want to listen in the background, check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and leave a rating if you are enjoying the content. But let's dive into the news because we have a lot of stuff to really sink our teeth into. So first things first, Jakob Poeltl is a guy that last season, averaged 8.6 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and really in the back half of last year had people really excited about what he was capable of doing, with an extended role and with, some extended opportunities because, during that final stretch of the season, the last 10 games of the year, the guy shot 46% from the three-point line. Again, a very, very small sample size. Shot 96% from the free throw stripe and then basically averaged 13.6 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.4 steals, and showed a level of production also on the defensive end as well. But Jakob Poeltl is, of course, a dude that, has that score first, game. And, when he's drafted by the Toronto Raptors, that was the expectations. That were like, okay, Jakob Poeltl, if he's going to be able to do one thing, he's going to be able to be productive out there on the offensive end. And definitely shooting-wise, he was very, very effective in those areas. But as a finisher, he really struggled last season, scoring around the basket. You take a look at terms of the more blue it is, the shooting percentage is below average from those areas, and the more red it is, the higher percentage it is from those areas relative to other players across the league. And you can see, especially on the right side of the floor, he knocks down threes at a very, very high clip, whereas around the basket, he is really struggling in terms of, scoring, in terms of efficiency, and he doesn't take many mid-range jump shots, which is kind of surprising given the fact that, he has pretty solid mechanics with his off-the-dribble pull. But I digress on that point. He's a very good three-point shooter and very poor finisher around the rim during his rookie season, which is something that is common for a lot of young players, a lot of young wings coming out there into the NBA. So if he wants to become a more well-rounded scorer, he has to improve his finishing around the basket. Well, that's where we get some updates. That's where we get some insights. And you could see it out there during Summer League in terms of just his physical strength, the muscle being put on. But we got a new update, a quote from him. And Josh Luberg summarized it well, that Jakob Poeltl has put on 12 pounds of muscle over the last 2 months. Yesterday, he told Josh Luberg why. I got to the basket plenty of times last year, but it was just the finishing part that was the challenge. And Bloomberg went on to break down how Poeltl shot 47% from inside 5 feet last season, which ranked last among the 10 Raptors players with over 120 attempts from that range. So the hope is that the added strength will help him absorbing in the physicality around the rim and finishing in the basket. And early returns are very encouraging. And you could see that certainly in Game 1 of Summer League because as with anything, anyone that works out tries to play basketball a little bit after they get used to their muscle, especially if you're not as consistent. Of course, Jakob Poeltl's practiced a lot more than any of us are. But, if you put on some muscle, if you do some things, it can affect your mechanics, it can affect that. You just got to get used to. No one's ever ruined their jump shot by, working out in the gym, but it can have some effects. And he's going to get some development, going to get some reps, and I'm not worried about Jakob Poeltl's jump shot whatsoever, because in Game 1 of Summer League, it didn't look that great. That's just how it is. Not mechanics-wise, he just missed a few shots. But last season, we have a high enough sample size that he's a very, very effective three-point shooter. But even in the game where he kind of struggled in Game 1 of Summer League, he was very effective finishing around the basket. He was driving in, he was taking contact, and we know he has a nice handle, he has a nice ability to craft his way inside the basket, and he did a very good job at finishing at the basket. Got an and one, AJ Lawson has steal, he got knocked, and then Jakob Poeltl was able to take some content, had a little finger roll there. Jakob Poeltl was able to finish at the rim in Game 1 of Summer League, and these are the things you're really looking for, because it's such a small sample size, the number of games we actually get out here in the summer, so stats and all that, it's tough to really take away things. But what you really want to take away from these games is, hey, what's going on in terms of the development of these young players. Because you might have a hot shooting night, you might have an off shooting night, you might have a hot shooting quarter, whatever the heck it is. But are you developing in certain areas? Do they look better? Do they finish better? Do they, the little things, does that come together? Because over the course of an 82 game season, over the course of a however many game career Jakob Poeltl has with the Toronto Raptors, that's where it's going to see its effects. So that is very, very encouraging for the Toronto Raptors to see Jakob Poeltl putting on muscle and also seeing it translate to finishing around the basket. So that is a huge positive there. But that's not the only interesting development that we have coming out of this summer and everything that's going on, because the Toronto Raptors made a very, very exciting acquisition this summer in bringing in Sandro Mamukelashvili from the San Antonio Spurs, who is a stretch big man. He can space the floor, and he's coming in with a very exciting, a very positive attitude that people are liking. And he's talking about taking a major step forward in his game. So Mamu came out and said that I feel like I can take my game to the next level here. Everything felt right about Toronto. Went on to say, and of course, so if we got the quotes here, I love the organization, and the fan base is amazing. Coach Darko is a European coach and understands European style of play. A lot of guys who want to get better, get to the next level together. Nothing better than being a part of something like that. So Sandro is seeing all the development, and we talked about, it's this whole start of the video is how Jakob Poeltl taking his game to the next level and things like that. But basically, if, Mamu's looking at this from the outside in, he wants to be a part of this development process. And say what you want about Darko Rajaković, we'll see how he ends up becoming, as a tactician, as a head coach, as a team that's trying to be competitive, which we hope the Toronto Raptors are. But there's one thing he's proven over the course of his, early tenure with the Toronto Raptors is he's able to develop young guys. And, Mamu is a player still coming to the league, finding his footing out there across the NBA. Last season, really start to, get a consistent role out there for the San Antonio Spurs. We take a look at his stats, right? Average, in 11 minutes per night, 6.3 points, 3.1 rebounds, shot 37% from the three-point line, 26% out there on corner threes. I added the minutes per game to the stats. The bots got that going, so apologies if I'm reading this poorly. But, 6 and 3, space the floor, as likely the backup center for this team. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how he comes into his own, because he has a legitimate opportunity right now. Now, there's a lot of people saying that, hey, Mamu's not going to be that guy because, we look at everything that's going on with Rajaković, and he should be the backup center. I think he's still about a year away from what I saw in Game 1 of Summer League returning from injury. We'll see, once we get more of a sample size over the course of Summer League. But I think Mamu's going to have a legit opportunity to come into his own and get some actual minutes, get some important run on this team, space the floor, have an impact. And I like his attitude he's coming in with. When he was asked about what does Mamu want Raptors fans to know about him, he said, I give 110% every time I'm on the court. I love animals. I love my family. I love God. So he has 4 dogs, 2 mixed bulldogs, 2 toy poodles. And they'll be making the trip with him to Toronto. I can't live without him. So he just seems like a likable guy. Has some fun quotes. He came out and roasted RJ Barrett as well, saying, RJ Barrett, he loves him, loves his family, very close relationship. But he hopes RJ Barrett passes him the ball now because he did it in high school. Pretty candid, pretty coy. But it's nice bringing in personalities that are fun to interact with as the fans. They give great quotes, and they just seem like good people out there in your organization. So shout out to Mamukelashvili. I'm very, very excited to see his development. And, with the Toronto Raptors' newfound energy following this year's Summer League, at least Game 1 of Summer League, we'll see if it's able to maintain and continue. There's a new level of energy right now on this Raptor squad, which has me excited. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys are the best thing as far as subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.